Hey guys, it is Friday, May the 5th, 2023, and I have to come on and share with you guys something that happened this week that is just still kind of blowing my mind a little bit, but it's exciting and I want to share it with you. Now, I made a community post on May the 3rd, that was Wednesday, about a movie poster that I had seen on Facebook or somewhere. It was Facebook, but it was about the Peter Pan movie that's coming out. Now, I don't like to do a whole lot of movies, especially not Disney, that sort of thing, but this movie poster that I'm going to make as the still shot for this video, or try to, that is something that just jarred my memory about a dream that I had in February of 2019. Now, if any of you have watched my video about where I was taken to Zion, that in that dream, I was taken up onto a ship. Now, you see in this video here, I'm using these bookends that our family has. It's been in the family for a long time. My husband's father had these in his office, I think, but it's just this ancient looking pirate ship. And they're just some bookends here, but if you can see those clearly, I'm not sure. Yeah, they're right there. Okay, so in this dream where I was taken to Zion, the angel came to bring us up to this ship in the sky. Now, when I looked up and I saw it, my first thought was, is that the Flying Dutchman? I mean, it looked like an old pirate ship. But in my spirit, I knew it was an ark. Okay, and so the angel took this group of us up to this ship, and when we entered in the side, I don't remember if we flew up to it. All I knew is it was in the sky. Next thing I know, we're walking into it. And in that side, huge, you know how the cargo bay kind of thing, that's where we entered. And when we went into this ship, on the inside of it was a beautiful tropical island. And it was surrounded by water. And the angel turned and looked at us in the group and said, "Welcome to Zion." Now, there were other details of that dream. If y'all want to hear more about that, we were trained there. We knew we were going to be coming back and helping people. But when I saw this movie poster, that dream came back to my mind. And that was on Wednesday, May 3rd. So I recalled also that my oldest son, Noah, had a dream about flying pirate ships or flying ships. And he had told us about it when he had the dream, but I didn't recollect when he had the dream or how long ago it had been, or really all the details of the dream. But seeing this movie poster about Peter Pan brought all of this back to my mind. And so I made a community post about it. You can go see the full poster there if the screenshot for the video doesn't hold the main thing, the big picture. But so I had to work that day. And on my way home from work, I called my son Noah. And I said, "Noah, I feel like the Father is trying to bring this remembrance back to us about these flying ships. And I can't remember all the details of your dream. So if you'll share that with me, then, I'll have a few more puzzle pieces maybe." And so he said, "Well, that's fine. I wrote it down in my journal, and I'll go get the book and go over those details with you." So when he got his dream journal, I asked him what date he had the dream. When exactly was this dream that he had? And y'all, both of us were blown away. He looked at the date and it was May 3rd of 2021. The 2-year anniversary. Now all of this is coming to mind on the exact day that my son had his dream. Now my dream about going to Zion was in February of 2019, but his dream was far more detailed, and I'm going to share that with you. And then I'm going to share a Bible verse that when I posted this on my community wall, someone came in and commented and shared this Bible verse with me. And it just, I didn't even have words for it. So we're going to get to that here in a second. But let me share with you my son's dream. He said in his dream that it was very dark. It was total darkness. But he was able to catch glimpses of things even in the darkness. And he saw people walking around that looked like clay statues. And he said they were moving in a way where they were trying to appear normal, but he knew they weren't. And the whole feeling that he got in the first part of this dream was, it was very foreboding. He was fearful. and he was trying to get away from these strange clay statue people. Okay, you know how dreams work. It's just, you don't know what's symbolic, you don't know what's real, whatever. But he was walking through this darkness and he wanted to get away. So he saw this old, what looked like an abandoned apartment building. Everything was very dark and he was having to feel his way along, but he glimpsed this building and he didn't want to enter it. He was afraid to enter this building, but he felt compelled to. And that's how he wrote it down in his journal. He felt like he had to go in there, but he didn't want to. So he goes up these little concrete steps into the building and he enters into the front door. And he says it was so totally dark, he was having to feel along the walls to move and walk into this building. And as he was walking through and feeling his way along, he came to a door that had this intense light behind the door, and he knew he was supposed to enter that door. So he opened the door and went in, and immediately he finds himself on a large ship. And he described it looking like a giant pirate ship, like you see right here in the video. Now, he was on the bow of this ship. As soon as he walked through this door with the light, he was on the bow of this ship, and he's looking out in the horizon. And there are ships, he said, as far as his eye could see to the horizon. And they were of all different shapes and sizes. He said the ship he was on was very large, and it had all these masts, and it looked like an ancient Viking or pirate ship. But there were other ships in the horizon that some looked like small shipping vessels. There was even like a canoe there, maybe a raft, but they were all full of people. And they were being taken out in a line. He said as his ship was filing in line behind other ships, and these other ships came along behind his and boats, and the straight line of these ships formed on the water as far as the eye could see in either direction. And they were full of people. And then he noticed, he looked up and he saw these most beautiful ancient ships in the sky. And he said that they had giant blue and gold masts. So again, envision like this, I keep saying pirate ship, but that's the best analogy that we have for it here. But these are these ancient ships with masts and flags and banners. And so what he saw were these giant, much bigger than the ship he was on, but just these giant ancient ships with all of these masts in the sky. And the masts were all blue and gold. And he said all of the ships in the sky had these large banners hanging from them. And he said that the banners were so long that they hung down beneath the hull of the ship because they were up in the sky. And he noticed that each of the ships had a different symbol on the banner. So for example, some ships had a gold shield on the blue banners that were hanging down. Another ship had a cross with two swords that were crossed over the front of the cross. I believe he described another banner having a crown or some other emblems, but each of the ships had different emblems on the banners, and they were very regal looking. Beautiful, beautiful ships that were in the sky. And he says that as those ships were flying along, all of the ships in the water were coming along, and it was as though the ships on the water were taking people to these larger ships in the sky. And he said at one point while he's on this boat, the ship, a captain speaks to him. And he says he cannot for the life of him remember what the captain said. But he was so overjoyed. I meant to say this. He was so fearful when he was in the dark building. But as soon as he walked through that door, he was filled with joy and love and peace and happiness. It was just overwhelming to him. And so he said that while he was on this ship and he was observing all that was going on around him, this captain spoke to him. And he doesn't describe the captain. He only describes hearing the captain's voice. And he says he cannot remember what the captain said, but he does recall that that's exactly what he expected the captain to say. So whatever the captain said, he said, absolutely, that makes sense. That's exactly what I thought you'd say, or whatever. And he was overjoyed. And then the dream ended. So in my dream, I am on one of these ships in the sky. And inside the ship was this tropical island. And again, all of this was coming to my mind on Wednesday, May the 3rd. And the fact that my son had his dream of these flying ships on May the 3rd, I've just, there's no coincidences with the Father, none at all. So I know he's trying to show us something here, guys. I believe that we are just so close to some major event happening. And whether or not the dream of these flying ships is meant to be literal or symbolic, I really didn't know. I thought that probably, it's symbolic of Noah's Ark and the Ark and getting in the Ark and going to, Zion training. And when I saw the island inside the ship that I stepped up to with the angel, I knew it was a dimension inside of our realm. So it wasn't that it was some physical place we were taken off to. It was within our realm, but in a place that was concealed, if that makes any sense. So when I posted this on my community page on Wednesday, some sweet sister came in and commented and said I really needed to go read Isaiah 60, and particularly verses 8 and 9. Or she said verse 9, but I'm gonna read to you verse 8 and then 9. And now I'm wondering, guys, if what we saw in our dream might be literal. I try to apply a literal interpretation anytime that I believe it's telling us it's literal. I mean, for example, there are times when Yeshua mentions the kingdom of heaven is like, and you see that word like, so you know that what he's about to describe is symbolic, right? But if there is no word in there to imply that it's symbolic, I try to take it literally, right? I mean, I'm a literal person. And I believe that, if anyone has regrets at the end of their life, it's that they didn't take the Bible more literally. I think that was a thing that, I can't remember his name right. Chuck Missler. Chuck Missler was asked if he had any regrets in life toward the end of his life. And he said his only regret was that he did not take the Bible more literally. And I think that that's a mistake a lot of us make. If it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, we chalk it up to symbolic, and anyone's interpretation will go. But I want to read to you this verse. Now, I love Isaiah 60. Years ago, when I was first baptized by fire, I read this scripture, and immediately I heard the Father say, this has not happened yet. This is coming. And you know probably what I'm going to reference. It's verses 1 through 3. Arise and shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon you. For behold, darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But my light shall arise upon you, and my glory shall be seen upon you. And kings shall come to thy light, Gentiles shall come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of your rising. Okay, that is literal. That will be a literal event. The Father has told me this. Take this to him in prayer if you believe this is all just symbolic. Okay, and forgive the booming sound. I have a peacock on the chimney above the fireplace. It's a zoo around here, I'm telling you. Okay, so let me read this to you real quick in Isaiah 60. And when that person came in and commented, and sorry, sister, I don't recall your name in there, but y'all can go look at my community post and you'll see her comment there where she talks about Isaiah 60. And I am very familiar with the first half of that chapter, but I had not even underlined verses 8 and 9 that she referenced, or she referenced mainly verse 9. But I want to read to you starting in verse 8 of Isaiah 60. Who are these that fly as a cloud, and as the doves to their windows? Surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring thy sons from far, their silver and their gold with them, unto the name of the Lord thy God, Yahweh, and to the Holy One of Israel, because he hath glorified thee. Okay, so when I read that, who are these that fly as a cloud? We're not told who those are. In fact, Isaiah's asking, all right, who are these that are flying? Okay, so these ships were flying in the clouds, just like the movie poster from Peter Pan. And of all the things that happen in Peter Pan, if you remember the story from your childhood, Why the ship would be the focus on their movie poster is beyond me. But apparently it has some symbolic meaning. I don't know if the enemy's trying to get the narrative out there, if this event will literally happen and he's just trying to shape the narrative. I don't know. But you know how the enemy moves. I mean, he's aware of things that are coming. He doesn't know it all, but he's aware enough to try and get a different idea in the mind of the public so that the last thing they think is that the Father has anything to do with what they're seeing. Right? I mean, I guess the enemy wants people to think Peter Pan. Who knows? But then read on in verse 9. Surely the isles shall wait for me. So there's a reference of flying in the clouds. There's a reference to islands or an island, which I saw in my dream inside the ship. And then there's this reference to the ships of Tarshish first that bring thy sons from afar unto the Most High. And in my son's dream, those ships and boats and all of this trail of ships to the horizon were loaded with people that were being brought to these giant flying ships that were all going in one direction, to the Father. And so I just want to share this with you all. When I had these recollections on Wednesday and was recalling my dream and bits and pieces of my son's dream, and I saw that movie poster and all of this, and when I spoke to my son at the end of the day, and he told me that he had had that dream exactly on May the 3rd, the same day we were talking, but 2 years prior, that to me is no coincidence. The Father is trying to show us something. He is trying to prepare us something. He's bringing things back to our recollection now for some reason. Whether or not these events are about to transpire or he's got something else he's trying to show us that's leading up, I don't know. But if you'll look in the comment section under my community post, there was another comment by a man named Mac. I do remember his name. And he said that it was in May. I think it was Mac. Sorry if I'm wrong on that again. But he said that he had a dream in May 4 years ago. So again, another dream of a flying ship or an ark is what he referred to it as in the sky. And he was taken to it and the Father told him, it's time to go. It's time to go. And he said he woke up from that dream saying, it's time to go. Okay, and so I had my dream in February of 2019, 4 years ago. This man that commented had his dream in May of 2019, 4 years ago. And then my son had his dream of flying ships on May 3rd, 2 years ago. And all of this was brought back to my recollection on Wednesday, May the 3rd. The same date, anniversary date of my son's dream. So there's something coming, guys. I just want you to be encouraged, be excited, and be looking up. If these things are literal and we're about to see some stuff that's going to blow our mind, we need to know there's biblical references for this. And I believe Isaiah 60:8 and 9 are where you can point people to when they have questions about what they may be seeing. Something strange, and this won't be Project Bluebeam. They've got that planted in our minds to think it's all going to be holograms. The enemy is doing his best to distract from the move of the Father. Sorry about the peacock. So, I just wanted to share this with you guys. I didn't mean for this video to be this long, but this is an exciting time. No matter how dark the world gets and how bad it's going to look, we need to be prepared for whatever the Father is about to do and get excited about it. This will be a time like none other, and ancient prophets have longed to see the things that we are seeing. And so we can see these prophecies unfolding right before our eyes. These dreams and things, don't discount them, guys, as fantasy. Write it all down. Things mean things. If the Father brings it to your recollection, then there's a reason for that. And also note the date. I'm so glad my son wrote his date down for his dream, because that just brought all of this, what I was thinking was sort of random, it brought it all together and showed us that there is a reason and a timing behind everything. Okay, so keep looking up and, just be ready for whatever the Father's going to do. It will get dark. The Father has told us that in Isaiah 60. Darkness shall cover the land and gross darkness the people. And in my son's dream, the darkness preceded his going through that door of light and being on these ships. So whatever the future days hold, guys, I ask you to keep encouraged, be joyful, and do not, above all, do not be afraid. No matter what comes, the Father is with you. He sees you and he loves you. And I would just encourage everyone that hears this video to press in right now. Ask him to show you what you need to see and to arm you for your destiny in his will. I hope this encourages someone out there. You all have a blessed day and a blessed Sabbath tomorrow. Have a great day.